theater. In today's video, we're going to talk about regulation of the transition step. If you could remember, we talked about pyruvate, which was formed from the end product of glycolysis. So we have our pyruvate molecule here. So this is pyruvate here. Pyruvate molecule. And this pyruvate molecule here, we actually have two of them. If you would remember, in the glycolysis pathway, we made two pyruvate molecules. So actually, we are having two pyruvate molecules here. And anytime pyruvate enters the mitochondria and get converted to new molecule, that is when there is oxygen present, and that is there has to be aerobic conditions. So whenever pyruvate gets into the mitochondria, it is run through, or it is acted upon by certain enzymes, and these enzymes, we call them enzyme 1, enzyme 2, enzyme 3. I will give them their specific names, but for now, enzyme 1, enzyme 2, enzyme 3. But the whole enzyme is known as pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. But it has three parts, which we divided into enzyme 1, enzyme 2, and enzyme 3. But the name, or the whole name, is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Enzyme 1 has a very important vitamin, which is known as thiamine. It has a very important vitamin known as thiamine, and this thiamine is bound to two phosphate molecules, so making it giving the name thiamine pyrophosphate. Thiamine pyrophosphate. So the name for enzyme 1 is known as thiamine pyrophosphate. So this is enzyme 1, enzyme 2, enzyme 3, and enzyme 1 is called thiamine pyrophosphate. Yeah, that's enzyme 1. Now, this thiamine pyrophosphate will react with this pyruvate molecule inside the mitochondria. So this is our pyruvate molecule inside the mitochondria. So this thiamine pyrophosphate, known as TPP. So this is also known as TPP, thiamine pyrophosphate. So this thiamine pyrophosphate will react with this pyruvate, and when it reacts with this pyruvate, a carbon atom will pop out in the form of carbon dioxide. So let me do that here. So TPP is going to react with this pyruvate, and when it does that, a carbon atom will pop out. So carbon atom will pop out in the form of carbon dioxide. Yeah. And when it reacts with this pyruvate molecule, and a carbon dioxide pop out, or a carbon atom pops out in the form of carbon dioxide, the pyruvate molecule is going to remain two carbon atoms. It's going to remain two carbon atoms. Remember, one has already popped out as a carbon dioxide, so it's going to remain two carbon atoms. And these two carbon atoms is known as acetyl-CoA. And this acetyl-CoA will get attached or bound to this thiamine pyrophosphate, or to the TPP. So let me do that here. So TPP with the two carbons bound to it. Yes. So the two carbons are bound to thiamine pyrophosphate. Yeah. And when the two carbons get bound to this thiamine pyrophosphate, TPP will give up those acetyl-CoA or the 2 carbons. It will give up the 2 carbons to the next enzyme, and when it does that, it goes back to its original form. That is the TPP. When it gives up the the acetyl-CoA off, it will come back to its original form. That is the TPP. So let me do that here too. So TPP will give up the acetyl-CoA and come back to its original form. Now the next enzyme, which is known as lipase. So the next enzyme is called lipase. So let me do that. Lipase. Yeah, so this enzyme known as lipase is a very special enzyme because it has a disulfide bond, making it very special. That is a sulfur bond to another sulfur, and this lipase will react with the TPP and pull the carbon chain. So the TPP, the lipase will react with the TPP and then pull the carbon chain, and then when it does that, it breaks down the disulfide bond and then form lipase with a thiol and a sulfur attached, and also acetyl-CoA attached. So let me do that one too. So this is our lipase here. Let me use this pen. Lipase. And remember, I said lipase has a disulfide bond. So let me do this. Lipase has a disulfide bond. So disulfide bond. Yeah. Lipase has a disulfide bond, and it will react with the TPP. Lipase will react with the TPP to pull the carbon chain. When it does that, we form a lipase with a thiol and a sulfur attached, and also acetyl-CoA attached to it. So let me do that one too here. So we're going to form a lipase with a thiol. So with a thiol attached. This is SH, yeah, and then we have, yeah, so we form a lipase with a thiol and also acetyl-CoA attached. And this enzyme known as lipase also has a very has another component, special component, which is the acetyl-CoA. It has another component, that is the acetyl-CoA attached to it. So CoA attached to it. Yeah, this lipase has acetyl-CoA attached to it, and this lipase will give out this acetyl-CoA group. It will give out this acetyl-CoA group. Sorry, I said it has a component known as acetyl-CoA. It's a CoA. It's a CoA, a derivative of vitamin B5. It's this one. It's a CoA, which is a derivative of vitamin B5 here. And this lipase will give out this acetyl-CoA group. It will give us this acetyl-CoA group. So what is going to happen is that this CoA is going to react with the acetyl group, the 2 carbons. It is going to react with the 2 carbons. Yes, so it's a CoA with 2 carbons attached to it. So this is how it's going to be. Yeah. So CoA with 2 carbons attached to it. Yeah, and when it does that, this lipid will transfer the 2 carbons onto CoA, which will form a thiol group. Yeah, so it's going to form a thiol group. Let me do that one too here. So this is what is going to happen after it has given off the acetyl group to the CoA. It's going to form a thiol group. So lipid will form a thiol group. Yeah, and after that, enzyme 3 also comes in. So enzyme 3 is known as dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase. Dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase. Sorry, I said enzyme 1 is known as thiamine pyrophosphate. That is not the name of enzyme 1. Enzyme 1 is known as pyruvate dehydrogenase. So pyruvate dehydrogenase. Enzyme 2 is known as dihydrolipoamide acetyltransferase. Dihydrolipoamide acetyltransferase. And enzyme 3 is known as dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase. Dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase. Yeah. So that's the names of the enzymes. Yeah. So this enzyme 3, what is going to happen is that FAD comes in and then pick this hydride to form what we call FADH. Yeah, it is going to pick the hydride and form what we call FADH2. Yeah, so hydride will come and then pick the hydride. So this hydride and then form what we call FADH2. FADH2. Yeah. NAD plus also come and then pick up the hydride from FADH2 and then generate NADH. Yeah. So NAD plus also come in to steal the hydride from FADH2. Yeah, so NAD plus will come and then steal the hydride from FADH2 to generate NADH. Yeah, so NAD plus here comes in and steal the hydride and then form NADH. Yeah, so this is what happens in the enzyme 3, known as the dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase. And remember, the whole enzyme is known as pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. And remember that we use 2 pyruvate molecules, which means we are generating 2 carbon dioxide, 2 acetyl-CoAs, 2 CoA, and then 2 FADH2, and then also 2 NADH. Yes, because we are using 2 pyruvate molecules. Yeah. Yeah. And there is this enzyme known as pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase. It has a phosphate attached, and when it put that phosphate on enzyme 1 complex, it inhibits it. Yeah. So this enzyme has so many allosteric sites that are indicators of high energy production. Yes. So this is our pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme. Pyruvate dehydrogenase. Let me do it this way. Dehydrogenase kinase. Pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase enzyme. And one indicator is ATP. ATP. When there is too much ATP, it's a high indicator of energy production, and that will stimulate this enzyme. When there is too much ATP, it will stimulate this enzyme, and when it does that, this enzyme will inhibit enzyme 1 complex to reduce ATP production. So number 1 is high ATP. So high ATP can stimulate this enzyme to inhibit enzyme 1 complex. And the other stimulator is known as NADH. NADH can also stimulate this enzyme to inhibit enzyme 1 to reduce NADH production. So when there is high NADH or too much NADH, that will stimulate this enzyme to inhibit enzyme 1 to stop producing NADH. So you have next one is the NADH. And the next one is acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA can bind to this pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase, and when you are making too much acetyl-CoA, this enzyme will inhibit enzyme 1 complex. So too much acetyl-CoA will stimulate this enzyme to inhibit enzyme 1. So too much acetyl-CoA. Yeah. Another one is ADP. ADP. So high ADP means low ATP. And so this ADP will inhibit enzyme 1, and it cannot phosphorylate enzyme 1. So what this ADP will do is that it will inhibit this pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase. High ADP will inhibit this enzyme from phosphorylating enzyme 1 in order for enzyme 1 to make more ATPs. Yes. So when we have low ADPs, it is going to and that indicates that there is low ATP. So low ADP will prevent this pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase from inhibiting enzyme 1, so that enzyme 1 can make more ATPs. So we have ADP. And the next one is pyruvate. Pyruvate. So pyruvate will want to convert to acetyl-CoA. So pyruvate will always want to convert to acetyl-CoA. So pyruvate will inhibit this enzyme. It will inhibit pyruvate dehydrogenase kinase enzyme, so that it cannot phosphorylate enzyme 1 in order for pyruvate to be able to convert to acetyl CoA. Yeah. So pyruvate. Yeah. So enzyme 1 can directly be inhibited by ATP and NADH. And this is when we have too much ATP and NADH. And ATP and NADH are direct inhibitors of enzyme 1. We have another enzyme known as pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase. Pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase. So let me abbreviate it. PDH phosphatase. Yes, so this enzyme, let's assume there is a phosphate attached to enzyme 1. Yes, let's assume there is a phosphate attached to enzyme 1 that is preventing it from making more ATPs. Yes, so this pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase will rip off that phosphate that is attached to enzyme 1, and this will then stimulate enzyme 1. When it rip off the phosphate from enzyme 1, it will stimulate enzyme 1, and this is when you want this pathway to make more ATPs. So when you remove that phosphate that is preventing enzyme 1 from making more ATPs, you are stimulating enzyme 1, telling him to make more ATPs. And then this pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase is stimulated by calcium ions to inhibit or rip off the phosphate. Insulin can also stimulate pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase to rip off the phosphate from the enzyme 1. So remember, I said two things that can stimulate pyruvate dehydrogenase in order for it to rip off the phosphate. The first one I said is what is known as calcium ions. So calcium ions can stimulate pyruvate dehydrogenase phosphatase in order for it to rip off that phosphate that is attached to enzyme 1. And then the next one that can also stimulate this enzyme is insulin. Yeah, so this will help to rip off the phosphate attached to enzyme 1 and then help it to make more ATPs. Yeah. So thank you for watching this video. Please like this video, subscribe, and then remember to press the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we upload a new video. Goodbye.